Hello and welcome to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
Before we dive into who our guest is today, Joe's going to remind us of our show's purpose.
Yeah, the show's purpose. First of all, thank you for joining the show today. The podcast is exploring how we serve and connect in today's world through Rotary. And here we share inspiring tales and ideas on how to grow the service community. And we're excited for all of you to join us today as we explore and have fellowship.
Wonderful job.
Yeah.
I was waiting for more, but
I shortened it.
Cut it down. That's good.
So we have yet again another special guest with us today. Her name is Valerie Vidal. She is the president and CEO of Meta House. Welcome, Valerie. We're happy to have you on Searching for Service today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, excited for the opportunity.
Wonderful. So really in this first segment, we love to get to know our guests so that our listeners can have an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better too. My first question right out the gate, have you ever done a podcast show before?
Oddly, I have. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I did another podcast once before, and my kids ask me about it often and ask me to try to find it, which I've not been successful in doing yet.
And we'll help you find this one.
No, for sure. I'll definitely bookmark this one. And then I did have the privilege of arguing in front of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals when I was practicing law, and they record all of their arguments.
Even better.
So,
Even better.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But I'm a little rusty, so looking forward to diving in with you.
Beautiful. And so my next question for you is, where do you live?
Yeah, so I live in Milwaukee, was born and raised here, and have left Wisconsin a few times, but the Midwest has a way of bringing people back. So
it's a boomerang effect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where the Meta House is located, right?
That's right. Yep. Meta House is located in the River West neighborhood of Milwaukee.
Wonderful. I must say it. It's always nice being in company of a fellow Wisconsinite. I'm from La Crosse, Wisconsin, so
excellent.
I have to throw it in there. I have to. Us fellow cheeseheads.
That's right. Go Pack.
So tell us a little bit more about your background before you got involved with Meta House.
Sure. Yeah. So like I said, I was raised in the greater Milwaukee area. Most of my family is from around here. Before joining Meta House, I practiced law for 10 years. When I was practicing law, I was a business litigator, so I did a mixed assortment of helping to represent our corporate clients in complex legal disputes that they were involved in. Had always been pretty involved in community service, including some board membership service, and actually sat on the board of Meta House before joining as part of its leadership team.
Nice. How long ago did you join Meta House?
Yeah, I joined Meta House in 2018, so coming up on 6 years.
So you navigated COVID too, which I know was
It's
challenging.
been an exciting 6 years, to say the least. Yep.
Well, that'll be interesting to talk a little bit more about and how that specifically impacted Meta House, because I could see that being a massive impact to the not only on the occupants but also just the services that you're providing. So that'll be really interesting to see some of the impacts of that.
Yeah.
So as you started with Meta House, what called you to serve? You said you've been on boards and been in service, but tell us a little bit more what called you to serve, and whether that started at a young age or just service.
Yeah, sure. Happy to share. So my family had always been pretty involved in different community activities, not as formalized as sitting on boards and things like that. But as a child, I was often brought along to different community volunteer activities that my family was involved in, working fundraisers, helping with, runs and things like that were raising money for different organizations. Growing up, my family would literally open our doors and our home to, family members and friends who were in need of help. And so I was really kind of just raised with the spirit of service. And that definitely continued as I went off to college and began exploring some of my own volunteer activities. Most of my interests as it relates to volunteer work was focused around women and kids. So a lot of the early work I did when I was in college was focused on people who are struggling with domestic violence situations,
Sure.
and working with other organizations that were helping kids specifically. So moms and children have always kind of been a focus of my service efforts.
Wonderful. Are you a fellow Rotarian?
I do not have the privilege of being a Rotarian, but I'm very happy to say that a lot of Maida House's supporters are
Okay.
Rotarians, and we've received support from some of our local Rotary clubs here in southeastern Wisconsin. And because so many of our supporters are Rotarians, we've had the benefit of speaking at a lot of the different clubs, and
Beautiful.
was so impressed by this effort. And I think it's really great what you all are doing here with this podcast and getting the word out about different organizations and the great work that they do.
Well, and you quickly realize if you're supported by Rotary, you're kind of a Rotarian by proxy. I mean, it really
excellent.
is. It's
Yeah.
funny. Like we've got a lot of different groups that participate in our club that aren't Rotarians either, and
Very true.
But they're well known and they're obviously well accepted. So no need to be a Rotarian, but
Well, yeah,
you should check it out.
I certainly will.
And as a Rotary group, it's hard you let the people that are specialize in the groups and the organizations and support them, so you can't be everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Valerie, remind me again, how long have you been with Maida House?
Yeah, so I started at Maida House in 2018.
2018,
and,
okay.
Yeah, so I've been with the organization for about 6 years. And as I mentioned, I first learned about Maida House while I was practicing law
Yeah.
at a firm here in the Milwaukee area. The firm that I work for was a national firm, and the reason that I opted to pursue that firm after law school is because it was very community oriented. They very much encouraged the attorneys that worked at the firm to get involved in community related activities. I got to do a lot of pro bono work when I was at the firm. That was very, very rewarding, and I'm very grateful for all those experiences. And had the opportunity to pursue some board memberships. At first, I was on a board for an organization that did nonprofit legal services for people who couldn't afford their own attorneys, and was introduced to Maida House in 2014 after a period of personal loss for myself and my family. My mom had struggled with substance use her entire life, my entire life, and we lost her in 2013.
Oh, wow.
A colleague of mine introduced me to Maida House, and Maida House's mission is to help women who are struggling with substance use. So I didn't know about it prior to that conversation, and when she told me about it, I just said, "How can I help? Get me involved." So it was a mission that was obviously incredibly near and dear and personal
Sure.
to me and my family. And so I first started off volunteering, helping out with some fundraising activities, and then had the privilege of being invited to join their board of directors. Served on the board there for 3 years when the prior CEO stepped away to pursue another opportunity. And I wasn't looking for a career change, but it sort of felt like the universe was presenting me with a
The
unique
stars
opportunity.
aligned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes you got to listen when you're getting pointed in the right direction. And
Agreed.
so, as I said, I wasn't looking to make a big change, but, and talking with my husband and thinking about what made sense for our family, it was a great alignment of personal passion and professional skills. And so I was very grateful to be given the opportunity to lead the organization.
So you actually just hit a lot of the questions that I was going to ask you next, which was like, obviously you didn't start off in the role of CEO and president of Maida House, but how did you get to that point? And you just shared all of that. So thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, happy to do so. Good.
It had to be a pretty big jump, from a legal career into it. Do you use a lot of your
I'm sure
legal
it's
background?
yeah.
Well, what's interesting? The work that we do is heavily regulated. And so having a legal background, I think, is incredibly helpful for anybody who leads a big organization, any nonprofit. I mean, most nonprofits have governmental grants. So you're entering into pretty substantial contracts with the federal government or state government. And so being able to help navigate some of those contractual relationships, some of the regulations that we have to comply with as a result of the work we do, I find it translates really, really well.
Yeah.
And kind of the more, maybe less obvious one is the advocacy work. I mean, as a lawyer, that's what I did, right? I advocated on behalf of my clients, and now I get to do that in a different substantive area. So
That's really wonderful.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the Maida House a lot deeper in the next segment. But so you shared that it's helping women with substance abuse. Has that always been the mission?
Yeah, so Maida House was founded in the 1960s, so we've been around for a really long time. Our core mission has always been helping women who are struggling with substance use disorder. At its inception, at that time in the 1960s, the primary focus was helping women who were struggling with alcohol dependency. And obviously, over the course of our history, what we focus on, how we support our clients has grown exponentially to make sure that we're able to meet kind of the evolving needs of clients and the different addictions and trauma that our clients face.
Yeah,
Wonderful. You just gave a nice little segue into our next segment, talking a little bit deeper about Maida House as well. So thank you for that little introduction.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Up your game and show off your Rotary Club spirit. Did you know there's a one-stop shop for all things Rotary apparel? Russell Hampton Company is the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary branded merchandise. From apparel like hats, jackets, and shirts to banners, tents, and awards, they have it all. And most things are customizable. And they can handle orders of all sizes. Russell Hampton Company also has deep connections to Rotary. In 1920, the company founder was part of Rotary Club No. 1 in downtown Chicago. Russell Hampton Company models their business on the Rotary four-way test and gives back 10% of all purchases to Rotary, supporting its global work. So the next time you and your club are out on a service project, arrive with the right swag from Russell Hampton Company to promote your club and Rotary. Even non-Rotarians will want some of your cool hats, shirts, and jackets. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our four-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms and
you can find us by looking up Searching for Service on any of those platforms.
We also have a YouTube channel you can find us, and we love if you like, follow, share, and 5-star reviews.
Nailed it.
5-star reviews.
Nailed it. If you are tuning in for the first time, we have special guest Valerie Vidal. She is the president and CEO of Maida House. And for this segment, we're going to talk a little bit further about Maida House and what it represents.
Yeah, so we just briefly touched on the history, but just go in depth a little bit about all the services and what you guys are doing, currently, and how it led to this.
Yeah, happy to. And thanks for the question. So, Maida House, as I mentioned, does substance use treatment for women. Our mission is to end the generational cycle of addiction by healing women and strengthening families. We do that across a continuum of care. Our three primary areas of service are a residential program, which is what it sounds like. It's inpatient treatment where clients are living on site with us and receiving 24-hour care. One of the many things that makes Maida House unique is that women are allowed to bring their children with them into that treatment setting, which really removes a barrier. A mom's never going to leave her child behind in an unsafe environment. And so we welcome the kids into the residential treatment setting. That gives us a chance to wrap services around the whole family. Most of our clients, after they've completed a period of time in our residential program, will step down into an outpatient service level. It means they're living off of site, but they're coming back to us for services during the day. And then over the course of our history, we identified having recovery housing was a really critical component of that continuum. Giving women a safe place to live in those early days of recovery and kind of stabilizing their new life in that new journey was really important. And so our third, continuum of our care, the third bucket is sober living recovery housing. So it's independent living. They're apartments for women who are living in a supportive environment with other people who are in early recovery, most of the time coming back to us for outpatient services at the same time.
Wonderful. It's a heavy topic. You know what I mean? One of the questions that I have regarding that is what's the percentage of people who there's a success rate with this?
Yeah. So I'm so proud of Maida House. We're innovators. We're always asking the hard questions of what can we do differently or better for our clients. And I think the model that our incredibly skilled clinicians have established over our history, the proof is in the pudding in terms of our outcomes. It's really comprehensive services. We treat the whole person. It's not a one size fits approach to treatment. It's very client based. But I was just looking back at some of our outcomes, and in the past 5 years that I was looking at, our success completion rate in our residential program was over 90%. So that means over
Wow.
90 clients who are coming to us successfully completed residential treatment, and outpatient outcomes are also really, really high and really strong, almost always over the state average in terms of successful outcomes. Now, that's not to say we win the battle every time, right?
Right.
Lapses is part of the disease of recovery. And so we see clients come back to us who may have gone through our program previously, and we welcome them back with open arms, and we're thrilled to see them because that means that they're coming back to get a tune-up. What we sometimes say, like they want to strengthen some of their skills. They may have gotten, veered off their path, and we're happy and feel very honored that they trust to come back to us to get those services.
You kind of touched on some of the uniqueness. A lot of recovery programs are faith-based. Is that integrated, or is it totally different? Or tell us a little bit more about the approach.
Yeah, we are not faith-based, and in fact, we're kind of intentionally not associated with any specific religion or faith organization. Because recovery can take a lot of different shapes for different people. And so we try to be a place that is welcoming to all, that is culturally competent for the clients that we serve, but is not specifically tied to a faith or even like a 12-step program. We encourage clients to seek whatever method works for them. But our approach is evidence-based. We are bringing new treatment modalities to our clients that we know works. That's like illustrated by the data and has been proven by outcomes, but it's not specifically linked to any religion or a 12-step program.
Very interesting. You mentioned on data. It sounds like you're a very data-driven organization. Then,
We are, yeah, and we're so fortunate to have a really incredible in-house evaluations team and quality team that is tracking just scores of data for us in terms of how our clients are doing, what are our services influencing around involvement with criminal justice systems, ability to parent their children well, reunification with their children, because oftentimes kids are removed from their mom's care while they're in active use. So we're tracking things like, again, reunification, obviously reduction in substance use. We are a smoke-free facility. We went tobacco-free long before lots of other treatment places went tobacco-free. So we're tracking those outcomes as well. Clients that have returned to employment or returned to school. So we're constantly looking at those outcomes to see where can we tweak or adjust our program to meet those, the different things that we want our clients to achieve.
yeah.
How has the data changed since COVID?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I would say that one of the more significant things that we have noticed is over the past several years, the demographic of who we serve has trended younger. And I think that continues to be true that continued to be true over the course of the pandemic. And both the younger nature of our clients and the pandemic itself, I think, has lended itself to having clients stay for shorter periods of time, which can influence how successful they are after they leave service. And so one of the things that we've been looking at recently is how do we make sure that we're setting expectations with our clients and shifting the mindset that we're not a 30-day program, we're not a 90-day program. We are until you're ready to go program, and we want to make sure that each client is evaluating themselves and their own personal needs and not measuring it just based on the passage of time.
Have you guys always brought the children in through the program as you talked about earlier?
Yeah, we've been doing that since the 90s. We are one of very few programs throughout all of Wisconsin that does it. And there are only relatively few across the United States that work under that model. One of the other things that's really unique about Maida House is we can take a woman who is at any period within her pregnancy. In fact, we welcomed one client in the past month who delivered her baby like 3 days after she was admitted into our residential
Oh,
program.
wow.
And that's such a huge success for us because mom goes to deliver, and then she and baby get to come back, and we have all these services wrapped around that family. Whereas if she hadn't been in our program, that could have looked very, very different.
Sure.
With that aspect of the family, and being a little non-traditional, how does that impact some of the funding that you guys receive?
Yeah, so our funding mix is, we do receive some federal support from the Department of Health. The SAMHSA is the specific department that provides us some funding. We are reimbursed for some of our services through Forward Health, which is Wisconsin's version of Medicaid. But that's very, very new. We have been historically very, very reliant on private philanthropy and cobbling together like local funding sources to help support the work that we do. I don't think I've mentioned, but most of our clients come to us unhoused or unstably housed. Most are living far, far below the poverty line. These are not clients who have commercial insurance or the ability to pay for services themselves. Most have damaged relationships with their families or their support networks. And so that is not the client's concern, though. When they come to us for help, we are figuring out, okay, what grant might we be able to get them enrolled in? who else can we tap into for some funding sources to help support their services?
What a nice
pretty
obstacle
incredible.
to overcome. I mean, that's got to be one of the obstacles for a lot of the people that are considering the service of going, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have insurance. I couldn't even imagine trying to pay for this. So being able to remove that first hurdle has got to be huge and getting them in the door and into the program.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's a really important hurdle that we're happy to remove. But there are so many barriers that are often standing in the way of our clients receiving services. Safe place for their kids to stay is often one of them.
Yeah.
Transportation is another. I mean, there are a lot of hurdles, and we do our best to identify those and clear the path so that they can come to us and get the services they need.
I'm always amazed, and we've had so many different people on that transportation has been the hurdle. That
Yeah.
they've got the services set up, they've got, the partnerships, the funding, everything set up, and they're like, wait a second, we can't get the people here.
Yeah, how do we get them there? I know, and it feels like something that should be so easy.
It's so
to
easy,
solve,
right? Like,
but,
Yeah.
we all assume, like, well, why are they just hopping in an Uber and just get here?
right, right, absolutely.
Well, I think for our next segment, it'd be nice to continue on this trajectory, talking more about Maida House, but then some challenges and stories as well. So specific stories to you as
great.
well. So as a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Rotary is a great place to get involved in your community and meet passionate groups of people, as well as individuals dedicated to service and fellowship. At Rotary, we believe in the power of teamwork to bring positive change. As a member, you will have the opportunity to participate in exciting projects that address local and global challenges. From supporting educational initiatives to environmental conservation, we tackle it all. Joining a Rotary Club means becoming part of a diverse family of individuals who share a passion for giving back and having fun while making positive impact. With projects and events that enrich your community, there's something for everyone, from local initiatives to international collaborations. It doesn't matter what culture or country you come from. What matters is that you want to belong to a group that strengthens communities and creates lasting change. There's a place for everyone at Rotary, regardless of age or background. Learn more by searching for a Rotary Club in your community and visiting. Together, let's make a difference. Rotary, people of action. Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
As a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms, and
You can find us by looking up Searching for Service on all those platforms.
Yep, you're on top of all the podcast platforms. We're also on YouTube. We love it if you share, like, subscribe, and 5-star reviews.
Please review. Reviews are awesome.
yeah.
Love them.
They help us a lot.
So we have a special guest on. So if you're tuning in for our third segment of Searching for Service, we have with us Valerie Vidal, who is the president and CEO of Maida House, located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the best state ever.
Absolutely.
So, Valerie, one of the questions that I have, based off of all of what you've shared with Maida House, is what is like one pivotal moment or circumstance that you encountered in serving at Maida House where it was just like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing?
Yeah. I'm pausing because I feel like I have one of those moments every single day,
Yeah.
which is why I feel so lucky to have the job that I have, to be able to work with the colleagues that I work with, and to see our clients. Like as the CEO, I'm not doing direct client service, but
Yeah.
I do get the privilege of interacting with our clients often, and hearing some of their stories and hearing what a huge impact the work that we do here at Maida House has on their lives, has on their families. Um, in reflecting on this, and as we kind of get into the colder season here in Wisconsin, I was thinking about one day when I was coming into work. It was a snowy day here in Wisconsin, and it was one of those days where I'm like bundling up my kids, and there's 17 layers of snow gear, and then I have to clean off my car, and then I have to drive through this, all this, snowy roads to get into work. And so by the time I got to work, I'm like frustrated. You know, my hair is messy, like all the things. And as I'm getting like pulling up to Maida House, I see a woman who is getting off the bus, carrying a car seat, and walking towards our building. And I just thought, like, how incredible that, I had all of these like first world problems to
Mm-hmm.
navigate to get to work that day. And I can only imagine what that woman had to go through to just get on the bus, right? To
Yeah.
like take what was probably a 30, 40-minute bus ride with a newborn to get
Yeah.
to Maida House on a snowy day, because she knew that her health and her recovery was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one of many examples of how inspiring our clients are, and how committed they are to getting better so that they can be moms and wives and sisters, and people who are contributing to our shared community. Um,
Do you get people that come back and help the house?
we do, yeah. So that's one of the very fulfilling things about working here at Maida House is so many of our clients go on to pursue higher education, pursue
Mm.
licensure, and many of them do come back and want to work here at Maida House. So we have many employees who are either graduates of our program who have gone through their program, or
Wow.
who are people who are living in recovery themselves. Several of our program managers are graduates of our program, and now have leadership positions here within Maida House.
That's
The first
incredible.
person you would see if you walk through the door is a graduate of Maida House, who will greet you and make sure you're headed to the right group room or getting you to your therapist. Um, so we see a lot of that. It's really incredible.
It's got to be inspiring for the people that are coming in to go, oh yeah, this person was literally standing right where I was standing, and look at
Mm-hmm.
where they're doing now. So
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
got that's
They've
got to
walked the
help
walk.
to have those people involved, and it's not just this sterile environment of people that are just
Right.
telling them what they should be doing.
Right. Rather, it's people who have been through the trenches,
Yeah.
so to
So
speak.
we actually have a formalized position here at Maida House called peer support, and it's a person who has lived experience, who essentially serves as a mentor for somebody who's early into those days of treatment and recovery. They're accompanying them to court proceedings. They're going to them to doctor's appointments. They're sitting with them as they're anxiously making a phone call about, X, Y, or Z. I mean, they're really just helping to buffer the anxiety and stress of those early days of recovery. And as you said, they have that personal experience themselves, and so they can look at our client and say, I've been there, and you're going to get through
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
For our listeners that are listening, um, people are going to be inspired by this and probably want to be getting involved, if not with Maida House, but with something like it. And, are there resources out there for people to connect to?
Yeah. There are lots of ways for people to get involved. If you're not located here in the Milwaukee area, there are a lot of great organizations that are helping women who may be struggling with substance use. If you are here in the Midwest area, you can certainly go to our website and see ways to get involved, either with your time or your treasure. There are lots of ways. But I always feel like I miss an opportunity if I don't talk about stigma. in substance use. One of the silver linings I feel like of the opioid epidemic is that most people realize that addiction is not an other people problem. Like it is
Yeah.
kind of leveled the playing field in terms of who is impacted by addiction and fatal overdoses. And it's tragic, but it's tragedy that's shared now. And so I think there's been some reduction in stigma, but there still is really significant stigma that exists. And so
Oh, yeah.
I think all of us have a role to play in removing stigma for people who are seeking services for mental health or substance use. And I think we've made some strides, but we still have a way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I think it's definitely a topic that I think people are much more open to talk about, but it's got
It's
a long
still
way to go.
it's still a challenge. Like I'm even finding myself, even in this conversation, thoughtfully thinking through how I want to ask questions.
Yeah.
Or
No, that
maybe
makes
not
sense.
asking questions because I
Yeah.
don't know how to thoughtfully approach it.
Right.
One of the questions I actually had was I've always seen substance abuse. And has it changed recently to remove that? And is it because the word abuse has stigma around it? I was like, I'm looking for substance abuse when I'm reading your bio, but it's not there.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe a
and
silly question, but
it's
I am
not a silly
curious.
question. Yeah, it's a great question. It is a very intentional use of language to talk about substance use disorder as the mental health and brain condition that it is. It
Okay.
is a physical, medical diagnosis. Addiction impacts the brain, and so by using language that appropriately reflects that this is something that can be treated, that has to be treated with the
Sure.
appropriate deference. And it also removes sort of the shame and
Okay.
stigma, as we were talking about, but also instead of looking at addiction as a moral failing, really treating it like the health condition that it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad
And
I
how do you
asked.
know you're an attorney? Use the word deference.
Use the word deference. I love it.
Oh my God.
How unique is it for this type of program to be only focused, or not only, but a women-centric or focused just on women versus, the different types out there? Is there a lot of that?
So I think that a lot more treatment facilities are recognizing that there is some benefit to gender-specific treatment. And even that topic has, some areas of gray in a world where even gender, I think, is, something that, has a lot of conversation around it. And to be clear, Maida House treats anyone who identifies as a woman. And so we're happy to welcome in people who are not born female. And so that's something that we are navigating and making sure that we're providing services that are inclusive and that we're the right place for clients to feel safe.
Okay.
What we've learned, though, is for specifically for women who are struggling with substance use, many of them are moms, and if a person is a mom, that's how they identify. That is like the core
Yeah.
of how they identify. They identify as a parent, and so by providing that gender-specific treatment, we're also able to fold in that parenting element and really getting at the heart of how do we help support this woman who's also a mom who has children that need her to be there for them to break that cycle.
Yeah.
So it is a different model. It is a unique model, but our outcomes show that it is a really, really effective model.
I wanted to ask another question, but I realized we only have
We
a
can
minute
ask
left, so
after.
I will wait until our next segment. But any other?
So we're just going to kill
know.
45 seconds.
I think we
Can't
should
ask
stay
it.
on that
It's a
because I
big-
think it's a very
Yeah.
unique and interesting, aspect of it, and I think it's important to talk about. So, want to take us away?
All right. As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll be back.
Show off your Rotary Club spirit with Russell Hampton Company. They're the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary items. They make everything like hats, jackets, shirts, banners, and more. Russell Hampton Company is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business founded in 1920 by a member of the first-ever Rotary Club in Chicago, Club Number 1. When you call Russell Hampton Company, you get more than just a company. You get a fellow Rotarian-owned business who's there to help. No matter if you're ordering for your entire club or just yourself, no order is too big or too small. Not sure what your club needs? Their team members can help and customize just about anything. They live by the Rotary 4-way test. They also give 10% of all purchases back to Rotary to support Rotary's global work. So remember, Russell Hampton Company is your one-stop shop for all things Rotary. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com. Russell Hampton Company, Rotarians serving Rotarians.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good? Will it better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Join Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing right now was performed by the Rotary Club of Saskatoon, Natuna in Canada.
When we pay it forward, it will be returned.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
We have Valerie Vidal, who's the president and CEO of Made a House with us, and we've done a really deep dive into data with Made a House, what Made a House represents, who
they help.
who you help as well. The question for those of you who were listening to the last segment, the cliffhanger question that I'm not sure we've really dove into this, and I did have to step out for a moment, so maybe I missed it. But my question is regarding having the children there present with the mother. What's the data behind that in terms of like helping with recovery? I want to hear from you on what that represents.
Yeah. So when a woman comes into treatment, sometimes she's pregnant and she can have, she'll deliver here. One of the stats that always blows me away that I like to share is that if a pregnant woman who is in active use comes to Made a House and we can have, I think it's less than 8 weeks with her, we can have her baby be born drug-free. So
Wow.
it's a pretty short turnaround for us to be able to support that woman and make sure that best we can she's having a healthy delivery. So I don't know, in
Good.
terms of like data and outcomes, that seems like an incredible one to me.
Mm-hmm.
If a mom is bringing her child with her into the treatment setting, a child that she already has, we have an entire team that's dedicated to child and family services that again is able to wrap services around both the child and the mom. They're doing different groups and individual work with them to teach mom how to interact with her kids in a healthy way. They do play therapy. And, anecdotally, that's one of the things we hear from our clients over and over again. Their children are their motivation to get well.
Yeah.
It's their, getting their child back into their custody is their motivation to stay well. And so when we see our clients doing well, that's exactly what happens. They're able to have reunification. They feel more confident in their ability to parent their kids, and all of the family outcomes are better as a result.
Yeah, having some personal experience in this realm, I love the fact that the kids are involved because, you could see where implanting those systems and processes with the children present is so important. Whereas maybe they get themselves right and then they're reintroduced back to their kids and it's stressful. Like being a parent is really stressful and difficult. And then all of a sudden it's stressing those systems in ways that they were not ready or anticipated for. So I can only imagine, although I do think about it like kind of funny wise, like what about the kid that's just the little punk is super disruptive to like the entire, are there age limits? Like, is it up to only so old that they can be there?
Yeah. So over the course of our history, we identified that, adolescent kids are just going to have different needs and need a different level of attention. And so we welcome kids 12 and under into our program. Yep. I would say that we haven't had older kids in our program for a while. Part of that was a product of the pandemic. Most of the kids who come to Maida House are like toddlers and younger, because we're skewing more towards babies, pregnant women, etc. However, we have had school-aged kids. Their buses come and pick them up here from Maida House, and they're going off to school, and then we're helping them with homework when they come back to Maida House. And exactly like you said, I mean, being a parent is stressful. So being able to teach that woman who's working on all of these other coping skills, parenting skills, and coping skills to be a parent, which any parent needs, right, is really going to help make sure that when they're independent and they're living outside of the walls of Maida House, that they're able to function as a healthy family.
Well, and hats off to you guys because to take that wrinkle on is just a whole other layer of dynamics, processes, difficulties, things to emotionally triage in both the parent or the mom and the child. I mean, you're taking something that's already complex and making it more complex. And it sounds like from the data that you've given that it's been extremely successful. So, taking on that challenge. So taking on that challenge and, I think a lot of other places should really be looking at that and saying, is that a core piece of, success rate is having their core pieces of what make them who they are, present.
So I guess that does pose a question, Valerie, based off of what Joe was just talking about. Have you had other houses, nonprofits come to you seeing the success and the success rate that you have with the mothers and asking like, what does this look like? How can we get this blueprint?
Yeah. What's the secret sauce?
Yeah.
So we're always happy to share, and we're always happy to learn, right? And so I'm very happy to say that we've got really great relationships with a lot of the other treatment providers throughout the state of Wisconsin. What I will tell you is there are not enough resources, particularly as you go outside of the southeastern Wisconsin bubble here. As you get into the northern counties, as you get into native lands, there are not enough resources within those communities, and there needs to be more. And so one of the things that Maida House is looking to as we grow is making sure that we can be a resource to provide some technical assistance to other communities that are looking to establish their own treatment facilities, because it's so important. I mean, it's so we get clients from all over the state of Wisconsin, but it's better if they can stay right within their own communities and receive treatment. It's just better. Yeah.
That was a good segue.
Well, yeah, it's like we sent the segments ahead of time. Like as we're kind of going into, like we spoke briefly about kind of the future here at the end of this is, what are your future goals and objectives, not only for Maida House, but also for yourself Maida House. Sorry. Meta. Yeah, you're right.
Facebook. Come
Facebook
on.
really screwed it up for you.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest challenges that we face at Maida House is that we're almost constantly on a 3 to 6 month wait list for our services. Right now we have 35 beds in our residential treatment program, and 3 to 6 months of waiting to get the level of care that you need can be fatal for somebody who's waiting. And that's a heartbreaking conversation to have with a mom who says, my daughter's ready. She's ready to come in, and we say, we'll take your information, we'll get you hooked up with some other services, but we can't take you right now. So as we think about the future of Maida House, one of the immediate things that we're hoping to address is expand to have more residential treatment beds so that we can reduce that wait list and get women in quicker.
Okay.
One of the other really big challenges that I think all providers face is there's just a huge shortage of skilled and licensed mental health professionals, not just here in Wisconsin, but really across the whole United States. And so trying to be thoughtful about a growth plan for our organization. Maida House is also growing an internship program that we have here in our agency it's very sought after. So bringing more interns into our operations, they get their clinical supervision hours they need in order to apply for their licensure. So it's really sort of this mutually beneficial relationship. We are in the process of planning a full relocation to help realize those goals that I just mentioned of having more treatment beds. So we hope to have a full relocation by the beginning of 2025. It's a huge endeavor. We've been in our current spaces for in some instances over 2 decades. And so
Wow.
it will be a big undertaking for our whole organization, but one that we're all very excited for and thrilled to take because it means we're serving more people.
Yeah.
So Maida House is doing, we're in the planning process, but we are, of course, doing a capital campaign and have been very successful in our early fundraising. But the North Star is always our clients and making sure that we are incorporating them in all of our future planning. It's their table, we're just setting it, and so we need their input to like what do you like about what we're doing now? What would you like to see us incorporate in the future? What do you want your spaces to look like? Right now we're operating out of they're beautiful, but they're older historic buildings that were not built for what we're using them for. So as we think about creating this beautiful new chapter for Maida House, making sure that we're taking our staff and our clients into account in that planning process.
That's really wonderful because oftentimes that isn't the typical process. So it's nice that you're taking into consideration that viewpoint and perspective because
Sport court.
you're literally taking it from the babe's mouth, right? So
We have about 2 minutes left. What would be some of the parting thoughts that you'd, like leave with the listeners? And I'll put all the information up for the website when we post this, so we'll get that out there if anybody's interested in donating or volunteering. I'll have that in the link.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity. It was really fun.
Well, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, listening to some of your past podcasts and hearing the inspirational stories of other folks that you've interviewed was really fun. So I'm excited to help share and get the word out about your podcast. So thank you.
5-star review. 5-star review.
And I think the other thing that I would like to share is just reiterate the piece about stigma. There is not a single person who has not been impacted by addiction. And so all of us know somebody who struggled with addiction or mental health. And so helping to do what you can to get people in your life connected with services if they need them, and just asking people how they are is really, really important.
It's a great finish.
That was. Holy moly. And I look up and I'm like, and there's the time.
And we're
Holy
done.
moly. Valerie, thank you so much for joining us. Like I mentioned, it's truly our pleasure to have you on and have our listeners have more information in their back pocket about Maida House. It's truly been an honor. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
It's time to stop searching
And start serving.
We'll see you next week.